your worst animal nightmare be this: a 1 in a million chance in the Australian outback, hit by the world's second most venomous snake, surviving only to be bitten again, but this time not so lucky. A desperate battle against a lethal venom to save Ryan Cole from certain death. Or could it be this? A remote outback lagoon in northwestern Australia, where 2 unsuspecting young women take a swim, unaware it's home to deadly crocodiles.
Get out of the water! It's a crocodile!
Their outback paradise becomes a nightmare when the 2 swimmers are cornered by a relentless predator, determined to take either one or both. A small country town in the Australian outback, 5 hours drive from the closest big city, and 15-year-old Ryan Cole is dirt bike racing on a local bush track. Ryan and his family have gathered at his sister's home for a family barbecue to celebrate her birthday. Motocross is Ryan's favorite sport, but the roaring engines have stirred up a deadly native, an eastern brown snake. Snakes can't hear, but they're amazingly sensitive to vibrations. Luckily, Ryan and his friend have just finished racing for the day to rejoin the family for his sister's birthday celebration.
Ryan and Mick had been riding motorbikes in the morning, and we were packing up ready to go, and they said, "One more ride."
Dad, I'm going to go for another bash in the morning.
You've got 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, all right.
In the fading light, the best basking spot for an eastern brown is full sun, right on the track. Ryan is about to encounter a snake that is not only the second most venomous in the world, but also notoriously aggressive. The lightning-fast bite is on the inside of his leg.
Average fang length, believe it or not, is about 3 millimetres long. Small venom yields too, but incredibly potent and has disastrous effects on the human body. So they've got this tiny amount of venom, but it's capable of killing a large mammal.
Being a country boy, he knows his snakes, and this one's deadly.
Here he comes now.
Dad! Dad! I think I've been bitten by a brown snake. Dad!
We rang the ambulance.
Here we go, mate. I got the bandage.
A pressure bandage wrapped firmly around the bite will slow the spread of venom. They've bought some time.
The ambulance came and said, "Yeah, we've got a snake bite. Have to go to the Ipswich hospital." They kept him in overnight.
Hey Ryan, it was a brown snake.
But that was a dry bite.
The test results were negative,
Didn't get any venom in.
but it didn't envenomate.
You bloody ripper.
Your eastern brown snake is widespread and it's very active daytime feeder. Fast, likes it hot, and the difference between a brown snake that's 15 degrees to a brown snake that's 35 degrees is really quite dramatic. Eastern brown snakes are not only the most deadly, they're also the most dangerous snakes on the planet, if you like. Eastern brown is number 2 in the world for venom toxicity, so they're not only the most venomous, but they're the most dangerous. If they're threatened, they'll defend themselves viciously.
With a population of 2,000, Mundubra is a long way from the nearest big city, hundreds of miles. And like country towns everywhere, kids make their own fun. Ryan and his school friends had forgotten his brown snake encounter 6 months earlier, so a lesson on first aid fell on distracted ears.
So when you get bitten by a snake, if you got bitten on the hand, you start bandaging over the top of the bite, up the limb.
With a formal lesson, they should have been ready for what was to come.
Is that okay?
When we did the first aid course, it was a bit boring at times, but it got a bit interesting.
Fatefully, the main interest was turning the classroom into as much chaos as possible. But as later events proved, they should have listened to every word.
Yeah, just got bitten by a granny.
Hey, brother.
It was a stinking hot end of the weekend. We were just hanging up the main street, we were just bored.
Jake took a call from his dad, asking if they wanted to join him to swim the dogs in the nearby Boyne River. But the boys had other plans for this hot Sunday afternoon.
And they said, no, we'll go to the Burnett because all our mates are down.
No, Dad, I'm going down to the river with the boys. Alright.
So I went to the Boyne and they went to the Burnett.
Their favorite spot is a short walk out of town to a highway bridge pylon. They planned on spending time round the pylon before cooling off in the river. Most are wearing open footwear, dangerous in snake country. As the two boys head to their prime spot, unaware of any danger, their father is miles away, too far to help in an emergency. But at the bridge, the group's arrival has sent out vibrations.
Snakes don't have any ear openings as such, but they detect vibrations through the ground, so they're very sensitive to vibrations. When people are walking through the bush, snakes will pick that up, and mostly they'll try and flee. So this snake might have picked those vibrations up and tried to either flee and got cornered in, or tried to remain hidden, thought it was safe. It's long grass. A snake's entitled to feel safe in the long grass. The movement to a snake represents one of two things, either prey or predator. So either way, when there's movement, snakes are interested.
This very active brown snake is interested.
You know, there's snakes around, but it never comes right in your head that we're like Ryan's going to get bit.
The brown is top of the list of venomous snakes in eastern Australia. They've never seen one here before, and they've been coming to the pylon for years because of its secluded swimming hole.
Guys, you want to go for a swim?
The group splits. Jake, Scott, and Ryan kick off their footwear and head to the water, but Jake is held back.
Ryan, I and Scott was about to hop in the water. I got a text message off my mate.
Oh, man, yours? I can't, man. I got this one from Ash. I'll be in a minute.
But I held back, and Ryan and Scott, they said, yeah, well, I'm not waiting for you. I'm jumping in. It's so hot. I'm getting in.
It's concealed in long grass. All of a sudden, a group of kids emerge, herd of elephants, trampling around the place. Brown snake is going to be agitated. It's definitely going to bite. It'll flick up.
We just hear this yell. Ow! It's like, I've been hit.
It'll bite multiple times.
No one knew what would happen.
Hey, you alright?
No one saw a snake, and Ryan thought it was an ant.
Slipped in my granny.
Hey, you alright?
Very little pain around the bite site, and most people are entitled to think if you were bitten by a venomous snake that you'd actually feel some persistent pain around the bite site, whereas with brown snakes you don't.
Ryan had the bad luck to be bitten on a vein. The venom was spreading fast.
Come on, you boys.
Within seconds, he was feeling the effect. It must have injected a full dose of venom.
I turned around and looked, and then that's when I heard Ryan say, I need to go to the hospital. We just thought nothing of it, you know. Ryan walked in the water and collapsed. And I thought he was stuffing around because he was just lying there, he wasn't moving, and then he started shaking.
In a terrifying instant, they realized it wasn't a joke. Panic set in.
I took one look, jumped in, and I yelled for help.
Somebody get in now!
One thing ran through my mind, we got to get him out of the water, otherwise he's going to drown. We had no idea what was happening.
It was like a lethal bomb had exploded inside Ryan's body.
Early collapse is one of the hallmarks of a brown snake bite. It's gone straight into his system. His blood has spontaneously, almost, thinned out, and he's lost consciousness as a result.
Just 6 months after the first hit, another snake bite was unthinkable.
Because he was so big, they kept dropping him. I can't remember if it was me or Lee. He yelled out, ring an ambulance.
It was Jake who took over, leading the fight to save his brother's life.
We carried him all the way over to the road.
Ryan was having major convulsions. No one knew why.
I was pretty much just screaming because I was panicking so much. Because Ryan's brother, Jake, he was cursing at him too, like telling him not to die and crap because he was really, really scared.
Don't die on me or I'll kill you. If you die, I'll kill you. Wake up! Wake up! Someone run up there and meet him! Get him now!
Unless you know what snakebite does, you're not going to necessarily recognise the signs. So he's got bleeding coming out. That's going to be confusing for the kids.
There seemed to be blood everywhere, his mouth, nose, and eyes, and oozing from scratches during the rescue.
An ambulance headed in from Waterfall.
Ryan's friends are distressed. They still have no idea it's a snake bite. As the ambulance tries to find a way down, someone notices the blood on Ryan's ankle and the puncture marks.
Yeah, He had a lot more blood on his foot than he did when we got him out of the water.
They remembered some of that classroom lesson, but it wasn't quite right.
Once they've looked closer, then they found some puncture marks.
In the panic, they were confused about applying a pressure bandage.
But if those puncture marks are oozing blood persistently, that is a clear indication of a snake bite.
The tourniquets may have helped.
It was one of the strangest things I've ever seen. He was bleeding constantly from everywhere.
Meanwhile, Ryan's dad is enjoying the water, cooling off with the dogs.
I had a phone call.
Rob Cole is too far away to help one son in the battle to save the life of another.
Where's Jake, Dad?
Well, it was Jake on the phone.
Ryan's been bit by a snake. I don't know what to do. You've got to calm down here.
I rushed straight down.
As Rob Cole headed to the scene, the boys desperately tried to keep Ryan alive, but waiting for help felt like an eternity.
And then the ambulance and the paramedic came down.
The track down was too rough for the ambulance. The paramedic had to run down on foot, carrying a basic emergency pack.
They got this really big, thick bandage and wrapped it around his leg. It was a really big one.
This pressure bandage is standard procedure for all Australian snake bites. It helps slow the venom around the bite, so it doesn't spread too fast. As a backup team made its way down, the paramedic inserted a catheter for an intravenous drip.
Okay, mate.
Wake up.
The treatment given by Ryan's brother, his friends, and the paramedic was critical in keeping Ryan alive to this point.
You'll be right, mate.
I was just thinking in my head what has happened. Like I was speechless.
It was a tremendous shock. 1 minute having fun on a lazy summer Sunday, the next minute fighting for Ryan's life. Nobody could believe he had been bitten by a venomous snake, only 6 months after surviving the first bite on the motocross track. Even in the outback, this is considered a stroke of incredibly bad luck. A pickup truck from emergency services was the only vehicle that could get close enough to the scene, and Ryan was quickly ferried back up to the roadway to be transferred to the waiting ambulance.
When I got there, they were bringing Ryan up in the back of the SES Toyota, and his eyes were rolling, he was sweating, didn't look real good at all.
His life was now in the balance, and the local doctor at Mundubbera's small local hospital had no idea what was about to happen.
I was just ready to go home, and the nurse finished the phone call and said, "Don't go, snake bite, 5 minutes."
Dr. Shepard had been posted here for 1 week and was about to deal with his first snake bite.
In a country hospital, you're dealing with a very small facility with very limited resources available on the hospital.
The deadly toxins were crashing Ryan's vascular system, but luckily, the paramedic had inserted an IV before veins started collapsing.
When he came to the hospital, he was not particularly responsive. We don't know what snake has bitten Ryan Cole. A good idea for us to identify the snake that's actually bitten him so we can use an appropriate antivenom. We used the local bite site. We take a swab from that and then mix it up in the dilution liquid. The strongest colour that came up showed taipan. Later we used urine to get a reaction that showed only eastern brown snake.
Two different snakes, but in the same family of venoms.
We're also very aware that he's been quite seriously envenomated, and so we sent through requests for further supplies of anti-venom from Gayndah and also from Eidsvold.
The nearest towns with more anti-venom were at least half an hour's drive away, but police pulled out all the stops to assist in the emergency.
Australian antivenoms are one of the best products in the world, and they really haven't changed much since they were brought online in the 50s, and there's been no need to change them. They are very effective against the Australian snake venoms, and even when a patient is in a severe state and close to death, antivenom can turn all that around.
Ryan's condition was critical. He desperately needed more antivenom.
I think it took the police about 18 minutes to get from Gayndah to here.
They made it in record time. All available antivenom in the surrounding district was now racing to Mundubbera.
Not only does snake venom, poison us to our body, but people can also have reactions to the venom, allergic reactions, and go into what's called anaphylactic shock. In fact, they often will administer antivenom with adrenaline to to mitigate against the shock that it can cause.
Ryan was still bleeding profusely. That alone could kill him. He's agitated, still convulsing. Dr. Graham Shepherd calls a state medical emergency line for expert advice and to take over the emergency response. They decide that Ryan may not survive, and they organize an evacuation to the nearest city, Brisbane.
His bite is typical of the worst case scenarios with brown snake bites. When an individual is bitten by a snake, the effect of the venom is going to depend on the individual's general health, and Ryan was a young kid, so he's got health on his side. He was a big kid too, so he's got body mass to actually dilute that venom.
But he may not survive the 4-hour drive to the nearest major hospital, so the emergency response team has organized the medevac rescue helicopter. The venom is already having catastrophic effects on Ryan's bloodstream.
We knew that this patient had to be flown out to a larger hospital for further treatment, and so for transport he requires 2 cannulas at the very least, because if one falls out then you've got a backup. So we're trying to put a second line in, and unfortunately he's quite cold peripherally, so his arms and his legs are really quite shut down.
This was a big problem.
I can't find a vein.
Every time they tried to insert a catheter, it would bleed profusely. The veins were elusive.
Bleeding? Yeah, all right, it's all right.
At last, the medical team have success. Their persistence is about to pay off.
Ryan, if you don't stop wiggling,
Hang on,
you have
I'm
to
going
take
to
me
try another
down.
place, okay?
Okay, I'm in, guys. Hold it there.
With a backup catheter in, he's ready to fly. Ryan's dad already knows it's not looking good. He had a crash course in what a brown snake could do from the first bite 6 months ago.
It was a pretty stressful time.
Now, I've given him a polyvalent, which is a general anti-venom that's given for a lot of snake bites. Brown, black, taipan.
You just do what you got to do.
But his colour was white and he didn't look real healthy. And they loaded him up with more anti-venom, got him into the chopper, and
At last, he is transferred to the chopper. It's still a long way for Ryan. It will be late before they arrive.
Once the chopper landed at the Royal Brisbane, he was immediately transferred down to the emergency department for assessment.
With the inconclusive venom tests initially showing taipan and brown snake, the emergency team needed to know the precise species of snake to give the right treatment.
We're going to take a little bit of blood from wherever we can get it, and we're going to need to get a bit of a urine sample, and that means putting a catheter in.
The body can go into a state known as disseminated intravascular coagulation, which can be lethal, and in this case Ryan certainly had evidence of early disseminated intravascular coagulation.
This means that small blood clots are forming throughout his body. He's already got uncontrollable bleeding, but next could be multiple organ failure, strokes, or heart attack.
You're doing well, mate.
If it can't be controlled, the condition is a certain killer, and it makes testing for snakebite extremely difficult.
This is going to sting a little bit, mate.
Just hold still, Matty. Real still.
Taking blood tests from him, it was taking a long time for the blood to clot and to form a seal.
The substance that stops bleeding from wounds is all used up by the clotting.
The tendency to bleed could mean that you could bleed into anywhere in your body. You could bleed into your brain. You could hemorrhage to death.
That's one way a bite from a venomous snake can kill. It's a toss-up which one will take Ryan.
The most important thing with any envenomation is confirming what the snake was so that you can give the appropriate anti-venom. And in this case, the process involved collecting a urine sample as well as taking a swab of the bite site and using one of our standard venom detection kits in the pathology laboratory to confirm what the snake was that had bitten Ryan. And you usually get a result very quickly within 20 minutes, half an hour.
This time, it's unmistakably an eastern brown, the second most potent snake venom on Earth.
Once we had confirmed that Ryan had been in fact bitten by a brown snake, we were able to administer the anti-venom, and for a chap of his size it was decided that 3 vials of anti-venom should be sufficient to reverse the effects of the envenomation.
With the right anti-venom, they can target the precise chemical cocktail of toxins.
Ryan, I'm just going to take you over to ICU now.
All they can do now is wait.
After the anti-venom was commenced in the emergency department, Ryan was transferred up to the intensive care unit for monitoring overnight.
Almost immediately, Ryan started showing signs of improvement. When snakebite antivenom kicks in, it can seem almost miraculous. A condition that looked hopeless can suddenly start winding back as toxins in snakebite are neutralized.
Ryan is incredibly lucky to have done so well from this terrible thing that happened to him. He has a lot of people to thank for where he is today. I think his mates who dragged him out of the billabong and got him to the hospital quickly did very well. The doctors out of Mundubra who gave him anti-venom immediately and began appropriate management also have a heck of a lot to do with how well Ryan's done.
Finally, there's time to clean him up. Ryan Cole must be one of the luckiest people alive.
I reckon the chances of being bitten twice in 1 year, if you're not a snake keeper, if you're just the average kid out in the bush, I mean, it's like being hit by lightning twice.
Strike one, the bite hit home. But for some reason, the snake didn't inject any venom.
Maybe he needs to buy himself a lottery ticket now, because to survive 2 bites from the most deadly snake in the world, or one of, you've got to be lucky.
Ryan had 4 more days in the hospital to make sure there was no relapse or allergic reaction.
I held his life in my hands. What we did saved his life. It's just unbelievable.
Back home, Ryan and his mates enjoyed life with a new awareness of the dangers lurking in the outback.
Pretty lucky to have great mates to save me, quick thinking and stuff, because otherwise I probably wouldn't be here.
I think all kids think they're bulletproof, and they never think that anything can happen to them.
There's an eerie side to Ryan's close call with death. It seems the Cole family has a brown snake jinx with a lucky twist. Ryan's mother and his grandfather have also survived being bitten by brown snakes. And for Ryan Cole, surviving 2 bites in 6 months was his own worst animal nightmare. Could your worst animal nightmare be this? The remote northwest coast of Australia. 2 young women take a swim in a tropical lagoon, unaware it's home to a deadly predator. Their outback paradise suddenly becomes a living nightmare when the 2 swimmers are trapped by a relentless crocodile, determined to take either one or both. The Prince Regent River on the rugged Kimberley coast in Australia's northwest is isolated and remote. This impressive coastline changes from hour to hour with massive tides that rise and fall up to 35 feet twice a day. Vast sandbanks and mudflaps are exposed, revealing some of the biggest crocodiles in the world. These dynamic river systems are immense and virtually untouched by human interference. They're perfect homes for thousands of big saltwater crocs.
Western Australia has is prime crocodile habitat, lots of river systems. Western Australia is very remote. A lot of these places aren't visited very frequently.
Crocodiles are the apex predators of the Kimberley coastline. They patrol every part of the environment, investigating anything that moves, in a never-ending hunt for the next meal, including the idyllic lagoon below King's Cascade.
It's a beautiful environment, beautiful cascading waterfalls, rock shelves and cliffs, and the crocodiles thrive there.
If you didn't know crocodiles hunted here, it would seem like a perfect aquatic playground, and that's exactly how this nightmare happened. 1,500 miles to the south is the city of Perth, which had just hosted the America's Cup yacht race, attracting visiting boats from around the world, including the luxurious Lady G.
We'd gone to Perth for the America's Cup. Afterwards, we were relocating the vessel. Quite often, people would come on board just to get a lift and just work for their board.
March 24th, 1987, Jane Burchett, the Lady G's cook, picked up a new crew member. American Ginger Meadows was in Perth for the America's Cup. It was 6 days to her 25th birthday.
She was having such a great time in Australia and so many plans, and she was seeking passage to New Guinea. She was typical 24.
The Lady G had been on charter in Perth during the Cup and was about to cruise north to meet the owner for a private cruise in New Guinea. Ginger was assigned as Jane's assistant. She was joining a crew of 5 others.
Hey, g'day, Skip. Hey. This is Ginger. She's coming with us. This is Skip. He's our decky.
Hello, pleasure to meet you.
G'day, Ginger. I'll catch you on board.
Hi, Mandy.
Hey.
This is Ginger.
Hello, Ginger. Nice to meet you.
You too. Hey, Bruce. This is Ginger Meadows. This is our skipper, Bruce Fitzpatrick.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. So you come all the way to New Guinea with us?
I hope so.
You'll enjoy yourself.
Will do.
Let's show you around.
Ginger and Jane were a team for the voyage, standing watch together in 4-hour shifts.
Oh, this is going to be a dream trip. I could get a lot of this.
Yeah, but we've got work to do. Come on, we pull out in half an hour.
Okay.
Lady G is now on its own, with the crew of 6 sharing the workload for the long haul north, along a mainly uninhabited West Australian coast.
Hey.
Can I help?
Yeah, sure.
My shift was from 4 until 8, and so then after that I would prepare dinner and that sort of thing.
Ginger worked the same shift, helping Jane stay awake on the night watches with the duty skipper. Because of the vast distances, the boat traveled around the clock for the long journey to New Guinea. For an American visitor, this was an adventure through some of the most untamed parts of Australia.
Up around the north, the top end of Australia there, the tides are incredibly strong. You can have 6 to 8 knots of current. Now, we had a vessel that did 10 knots. So certain times you get to areas, if the current's going to be strong against you, you're better off anchoring, waiting till the current turns and then run with the current. The tides would drop 35, 40 feet sometimes. And it's really uncharted. A lot of the water's deep, but you don't know where the rocky outcrops are, and typically they're found by people running into them.
Crocodile Creek was one location they would stop for a break. In retrospect, the name was almost an omen of the shocking events that were about to unfold.
Sometimes if we could, we'd stop at an area, if we're doing it where we could go and have a swim or that sort of thing, if there was somewhere safe.
The rising tide would play a big part on when and how long they could stop. As they approached their anchorage, Jane prepared a surprise for Ginger's 25th birthday in a couple of days' time. Crocodile Creek, with its refreshing waterfall, is a welcome hideaway where boat crews drop anchor and go ashore to relieve the monotony of non-stop travel.
The first stop we made was Crocodile Creek.
Hey, Jane. Have you got my camera? Yeah.
Crocodile Creek's up near some of the islands that have mining on them.
One crewman stayed aboard the Lady G at anchor, while the others headed in to Crocodile Creek for a brief swim.
Took the tender, beautiful place, and there's a little pool where you can sort of have a little bit of swim, and it's quite a touristic spot. Absolutely beautiful.
Guidebook said beware of crocodiles and things like that. You go up to the pools, you basically spend a fair bit of time looking and watching and waiting.
Crocodile Creek is known as a perfect stop for boats exploring the northwest coast. The freshwater pools and scenic falls perhaps give the girls a false sense of security for the events about to unfold in the days ahead. The girls would soon feel the terror of swimming for their lives, of facing a predator that will have them trapped against a rock wall. But this time, they feel secure in the crystal clear cascade of this Crocodile Creek.
We all took a photo of the whole crew.
For Ginger, it was time to relax and have fun with her new workmates, to make the most of life with friends.
Everybody who goes there sort of carves their names into a piece of wood and hangs them up above this awning.
The local iron ore miners built a rough shade shelter that everyone uses when they visit the falls. And like all those who came before them, the crew of the Lady G reveled in the ritual of leaving a memento of their stay at Crocodile Creek, their names and boat.
Lady G!
But a problem on the Lady G was to change their destiny.
We'd had an issue with the desalination plant prior to getting on board the vessel. It wasn't working efficiently.
What's the problem?
The desalination plant was now out of action. They would have to make an unscheduled stop for water.
So we're all going to have to be careful with the water.
We'd gone under restrictions of how much water we used.
To watch your water with the cooking then?
I'm going to try and pick up some fresh water along the way.
The emergency detour will take them to the Prince Regent River and upstream to King's Cascade, a scenic landmark waterfall with abundant fresh water. But it isn't going to be that easy. The tidal drop is huge, so they'll have to anchor the Lady G in deep water and tender up the river and back in a short time frame. Everyone thinks it will be a perfect opportunity for another trip ashore, stunningly beautiful landscapes, and another spectacular waterfall.
We'd gone to King George's Sound, basically, okay, well, here's a safe area. We can anchor in the middle of the sound, which is going to be safe for the vessel, stay there overnight.
As the day ended, little did they know this would be the last time they would all share a meal together.
Alright, looks good, guys. They're going to pick up some more fresh water up at King Cascade Falls.
The water supply was almost forgotten in the excitement of what sights they would see tomorrow.
The next morning, the tides were going to be running against us. We can cover two issues at the same time by running up to King's Cascade and topping up all the extra large containers that we had.
Every decent-sized container on board was pressed into service to stock up on enough water to see them through to Darwin.
We had a brochure that had a photograph of the waterfall on it with a yacht at the bottom with people swimming and that sort of thing.
After their recent visit to the clearwater pools of Crocodile Creek, the brown muddy lagoon of King's Cascade was a marked contrast. But the presence of crocodiles here was far from most minds.
I was actually on the bow of the tender with my feet sort of dangling in the water at the front.
This was the first time any of them had visited the area. The skipper, Bruce Fitzpatrick, was wary.
I said, you don't even dangle your feet in the water here because there are crocodiles present.
Get your leg in, buddy. Watch out for them crocs.
Brown muddy water is perfect habitat for crocs.
It's not a narrow waterfall, it's a wide expanse. The water flows from quite a height and drops down into this lagoon, but it's a whole series of steps.
The falling water is pristine.
I've also been told that in a tourist guide there was a description of the area and it said great swimming and lots of crocodiles. Those two things don't really go hand in hand, do they?
King's Cascade is well known for its crystal clear waterfalls, and many yachts and cruisers take the opportunity to fill up with fresh drinking water from the easy access the rock ledges provide. It's always hot and sticky in this part of Australia, humid and uncomfortable in the middle of the day. So whilst the brown water of the lagoon looked unenticing, the best option was the rock pools at the top of the falls.
Filled up the containers that we had, and while we were there we said, okay, well, we've got that done, we've got a bit of extra time. Let's go up the top.
Well, we've got a bit of time up our sleeve, let's head up the top.
It was a reasonable climb to get up there. Now Jane and Ginger decided not to go up.
Oh, I might stay here, guys. Jane? Oh, come on, Jane. No. Okay. Come on, Amanda, let's go to the top. Okay, sounds good. See ya.
Madeline had actually slipped and gone into the water.
This splash in the water would have raised an instant alarm to any crocodiles in the lagoon. Their interest in the visitors would have now been heightened. The intruders could be possible prey. The rock ledges are steep and slippery, and particularly more dangerous, with water continually cascading over them. For the skipper and the other two, no problem. But for Ginger, she was finding it extremely difficult to navigate her way up. After numerous attempts to gain the confident foothold, she finally decided to give it away.
Jane, it's too slippery. I think I might just stay here.
Okay. I might swim around and find an easier place to climb up.
I decided to jump in the water and swim around the other side of the waterfall where the water wasn't coming down so hard to see if there was another place to climb out that looked less precarious.
The sound of more splashing in the lagoon would have sent further alerts to any crocodiles. Ginger was content to wait as the climber's attention was totally focused on safely getting to the top.
So I found a ledge that I climbed out of the water onto, probably only about 2 feet out of the water.
Even out of the water, Jane was an easy target.
Come on, pose up.
Got back in the water, swam around to the tender, and by this stage, Ginger was still at the base of the waterfall. Ginger then yelled out to me to take a photograph.
Hey Jane, can you take my picture? Okay.
She had a fairly high-tech 35mm camera, which I'm not good at using. So anyway, I tried to take a photograph of her, but I couldn't work the mechanism of the camera. She said, oh look, I'll come in, I'll dive in, I'll show you how to use it.
Wait, I'll come over.
So she dives in the water, comes over to the tender, gets in the tender.
The human activity was becoming a pattern.
and we're mucking about with the camera and everything else. And she said, I wonder if there's another way to get up the waterfall.
You know, I wish there was another way to get up there.
Yeah, well, I swam around there and there's no way.
She said, oh, there's a bit of a clearing over there on the shore.
Well, there's a clearing over there.
And I said, oh yeah, well, we could swim over there and then go through the clearing.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds like a plan. So we jumped in the water and then proceeded to swim over to the shoreline and go through the clearing and try and climb up the back way.
Crocodiles are great at recognising repeated behaviour. The fact that they were swimming back and forth, had got in and out of the water several times, provided really the initial cues for the crocodile to say, gee, there's something going on here, I'll investigate.
One large crocodile was very interested. Unwittingly, Jane felt something was wrong.
I got about a third of the distance from the tender to the shoreline, and I stopped and I was just treading water, and she swam up to me and I said, you know what, something's not feeling right here.
You know what, something doesn't feel right here.
It was just a really eerie, it just...
I don't like it.
Like when you get that feeling when someone walks over your grave, or all of a sudden you get a shiver. It just didn't feel right.
We're going back to the tender.
And she said, look, we're nearly halfway there, come on.
Oh, come on, we're nearly there, let's go.
And then she took off ahead of me, and I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. So then I followed her. The water was really murky, really muddy and that sort of thing, and I just, oh no, this is not right.
Jane's weird feeling stayed with her.
Steve and Madeline had started going back down, saw the girls in the water, and saw a crocodile coming across from the opposite end of the lagoon.
Get out of the water! It's a crocodile!
Crocodiles, when they're cruising along, slow motion off the tail, can easily swim at 10 miles per hour. But they can tuck their legs in and then just use their whole body like a fish and generate speeds up to 30 miles per hour.
There!
I looked over in the direction he was pointing at.
It's over there, get out of the water!
It was a fair distance away, but it was really moving. Just powering.
There was no alternative. The closest land was the waterfall.
When I saw it, it was coming up to and going past the tender, and I saw a croc that was as long as the tender.
Their only hope is to get out of the water, but the croc is closing fast.
I looked to where I had originally swum and sat on the ledge and knew we were never going to get there. So we swam to the base of the cliff face to try and get out of the water, but there were no ledges, so we were sort of trying to claw up at the wall, but we couldn't get out.
They were trapped. The rock wall was too steep, and the croc was on them.
Managed to just find a small ledge, but we were still waist high in the water, and the waterfall was sort of coming down over the top of our heads. Swam right up to us. It had its mouth open.
A waterfall may confuse a crocodile. Crocodiles rely, in most cases, on a surprise attack to make sure everything's lined up and ready for them to take their one and only chance at capturing their prey.
And then I took my shoe off and threw it at it, hit it on the top of its head, and it closed its mouth.
Their last defiant defense.
The crocodile most likely was confused. Two people, okay, which one do I go for?
And I remember looking at it and thinking, it can't see us. She just looked at me and said, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
Because the crocodile was like right in front of us, maybe she thought that she could swim to the shoreline and get away. She let go of my arm, jumped off the ledge.
What are you doing?
Took 2 strokes. Just grabbed her around the waist and pulled her right under the water.
I'd yelled at Steve.
Can you see them?
And he was flying down the rocks. Madeline went hysterical.
And then whoosh, it brought her up out of the water right in front of me. I looked her right in the face. And she had her arms in the air and she's looking right at me. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? She wasn't in any pain. No, there was no panic. It was more like startled. And then it pulled her back under the water.
The strategy there, of course, is to drown.
Everyone was in shock.
I'd gone from the top down, was concerned about Madeline, there. I didn't want her to slip.
And I'm like, I've got to get off this ledge. So I dived left and swam to the area that I had originally gone to. And as I swam, my other shoe was coming off, and I'm thinking, oh, it's got me now. And then got up onto the ledge.
Jane had no idea where the crocodile was and if it would strike again. The first mate had slid down the waterfall to the tender in a desperate bid to rescue Ginger. One crew member was frozen in fear at the top. Jane was in disbelief.
It wasn't until Steve came around in the tender and got me that he realised that she was gone. And I'm thinking, this thing was huge, where's it gone?
The crocodile had completely disappeared.
It looks to me as if it was a male crocodile, over 12 feet long, could be anywhere between 40, 50 years old.
From the waterfall, they had seen the direction the croc was headed.
He went over to where he had seen the croc go, and he saw her.
Any vague hope that Ginger may have escaped from the crocodile's jaws and swum to safety were soon dispelled.
And then it went, and we never saw her again.
What is it?
The numbing shock of what just happened was suddenly brought to a painful reality. With the discovery of Ginger's fate, everyone now felt more vulnerable. Would the crocodile continue its killing rampage and attack the boat? It had the size and power to inflict serious damage. Any attempt to retrieve Ginger's body from the jaws of the predator could put the rest of the crew in jeopardy.
I heard Bruce ask if Ginger was dead, and Bruce said yes.
Ginger gone.
And I remember thinking, this is just a nightmare.
The crocodile surfaced.
Then I saw the crocodile nearby, and it had come up and it was watching us. And it had obviously stored Ginger somewhere else because it didn't have Ginger there. Now, at that point, I said, right, we're getting out of here because we don't want any more damage done. So we made the decision at that stage there wasn't much that we could do for Ginger.
The plan was to get back to the Lady G and alert authorities.
So then we just tore off.
The Lady G was about as remote as it gets on the West Australian coast.
We're at the mouth of the Prince Regent River.
So I called on the radio to Darwin, advised them that we needed to inform the police.
No, it's a crocodile.
It would take more than 24 hours for help to arrive.
Everybody was pretty quiet, you know, just sitting there thinking, you know, what would you have done different? And I was just thinking, probably nothing, you know.
The horrific tragedy gave them the compelling need to stay close to one another.
There was still quite a bit of shock going on.
Waiting for the authorities to arrive was a full day and 2 long, heartbreaking nights.
It was 24 hours before the police could get to us. That's how remote it was. They came in on a small seaplane, 1 police officer and 1 fisheries officer.
The wait was over. First off was Fisheries and Fauna Inspector Peter Johnson.
Flew in from Broome on a seaplane accompanied by some police officers.
A fast boat was already on its way, with more police and a crocodile expert.
We all had to make a statement, and I was the only one who could type, so I had to type everybody's statement.
The media picked up the story.
Police questioned at length the crew of the charter boat Lady G about the death of 24-year-old Ginger Meadows.
Search Coordinator Chief Inspector Arnold Davies says the search for the body would not turn into a hunting party.
It's one thing for an expert tracker to find the body in an area inhabited with crocodiles. But it's another thing to retrieve it from a large, dominant predator, determined to defend its prey.
It's well known that crocodiles will secret their prey items. There's lots of other crocodiles in the system that they want to keep their food away from. It's not unusual for crocodiles to take their prey and move it up a small creek. A small creek's a lot easier to guard than a big open lagoon. And so they'll move them up there into shallow water, can keep an eye on it and look after it until they need to feed more.
The party split into 2 groups to search the 2 creeks that run off the lagoon. The crocodile expert and Peter Johnson chose what they thought was the most likely creek. They were right. Ginger's body lay in very shallow water, only a short distance from the main lagoon. This was a volatile situation, The crocodile could attack at any time, defending its prize. Everyone was tense and ready. They now had the grim task of recovering Ginger's body and returning it to their small boat. The fading light and the region's enormous tides would put an eerie twist to a successful recovery mission. Ginger was not out of the crocodile's sights just yet. There was one more drama to unfold.
Guys, we're not going to make it back to the boat tonight with these tides. We're going to have to spend the night out here.
We actually sort of anchored in the main part of the river to wait for the following day.
They are still in crocodile territory, and a big croc is more than capable of taking on a boat of this size. After the tragic events of the past few days, and all the unusual activity, the keen senses of every croc in this part of the river system are aroused to fever pitch. The body bag on the front of the boat becomes a macabre attraction.
What was that?
The crocodiles are reclaiming their prize.
Right.
Nothing is going to stop them.
We actually started to jump up at the body bag which was on the front of the boat. Obviously they were attracted by the smell.
The croc's keen senses had targeted the boat. Drastic action was needed. Warning shots would not deter them. It was a tense wait until dawn.
The common reaction to a tragedy like this is to go out and shoot every crocodile in sight. Thankfully, in this case, they chose wisely and recognised that it's the crocodile's territory. They evolved to live in that environment, and they should be protected.
Get out of the water! It's a crocodile!
There was no way of determining whether any particular crocodile was responsible.
It was a horrible tragedy for everyone involved. Every shocking detail etched into memories forever.
This is a particularly tragic situation because Ginger Meadows was of course a visitor to our country.
It was just one day before her 25th birthday.
We were planning something for her birthday.
A birthday celebration that was cut so tragically short. Everyone had been looking forward to the surprise party. In a short time, she had won the hearts of the entire crew.
The whole thing, I remember, is loving life and so happy to be up there.
The few days' cruise from Perth were filled with fun and laughter as Ginger traveled an exotic coastline with her new friends. They remember her as bubbly and vivacious, someone who got along well with everyone. They were good days, fun days. She had plans for more travel and adventures, and the voyage she was having on the Lady G up the West Australian coast was a dream. A dream that became everyone's worst animal nightmare.